What if I told you that one of the biggest communities in Maharashtra is fighting for reservations? But even after court battles, protests, hunger strikes, and new laws, the final answer is still not clear. In today's video, we're breaking down the full story of the Maratha Reservation controversy. We'll start from the root cause, look at why the demand began, what the courts have said, why people are still protesting, and what the government has decided recently. By the end, you'll understand this entire issue in simple words. No legal jargon, no confusing political speeches, just the facts, explained step by step. All right, let's start with the basics. In India, we have something called reservation. Think of it like a cricket team that reserves some slots for kids who never got proper coaching, so they also get a fair chance. In real life, this means seats in colleges and government jobs are set aside for certain groups who've been historically disadvantaged. Now, the Maratha community in Maharashtra is huge. Farmers, landowners, and spread across the state. Over the years, many Marathas felt they were left behind when it came to education and jobs, and they started demanding reservation. Here's where the story heats up. In 2018, the Maharashtra government passed a law giving Marathas their own quota under a category called SEBC, Socially and Educationally Backward Class. Sounds straightforward, right? But there's a rule. Back in 1992, the Supreme Court said total reservations in India cannot cross 50%. It's like saying, no matter what, half the seats should stay open for everyone else. But Maharashtra's Maratha quota pushed the total above that limit. So in 2021, the Supreme Court struck it down. The judges basically said, sorry, you can't just add another quota unless you prove extraordinary reasons with solid data. So what happened after that? Two things, and both are very important. First, in 2024, the state government tried again. They brought in a new law, the SEBC Act 2024, giving Marathas 10% reservation in education and government jobs. The twist: this again takes total reservation above 50%. Right now, courts have allowed this quota to continue temporarily for admissions and recruitments. But the final verdict is still pending. In short, it's like your teacher saying, go ahead and write the exam, but I'll decide later if your marks will count. Second, another route opened up, and this is where protests got intense. A social activist, Manoj Jarange Patil, argued that many Marathas are actually Kunbis, a farming community already listed as OBC. And if you're Kunbi, you automatically get OBC reservation benefits. The government then started checking old records, including something called the Hyderabad Gazetteer, basically historical documents that could prove someone's ancestors were Kunbis. Now imagine this. If your great-grandfather's land record says Kunbi, you could apply for an OBC certificate today and get reservation benefits. But it's not automatic for everyone. It's case by case, and only if documents exist. Of course, this created another problem. OBC groups got worried. They said, if lakhs of Marathas suddenly come into our quota, won't our share shrink? And they're already preparing to challenge this in court. Meanwhile, Jarange Patil sat on hunger strike in Mumbai. Roads were blocked, protests spread, and the High Court even told the police, clear the roads, people can't suffer like this. Finally, the Maharashtra government issued a new order saying yes, historical records like the Gazetteer can be used for Kunbi verification. That was Jarange's main demand, so he ended his fast on September 2, 2025, calling it a win for Marathas. Now let's pause and see where we stand. On one hand, the 10% Maratha quota under the 2024 law is active, but only provisionally, until courts decide if it's legal to cross the 50% cap. On the other hand, Marathas who can prove Kunbi ancestry through documents can get OBC certificates. That too is open to challenges from other groups. So, is the issue solved? Not really. The protests have stopped for now, yes, but the courts still have to give their final word, and the tug-of-war between Maratha and OBC groups is far from over. Think of it like a cricket match where rain has stopped play. The players have walked off, the crowd is calmer, but the final score hasn't been decided yet. Everyone's waiting for the umpire's decision. In this case, the courts. So, the Maratha Reservation controversy is partly settled, partly hanging. For now, Some Marathas will benefit, but the permanent solution depends on what the judges say in the coming months. This story is a reminder of how complex India's reservation system is, balancing fairness, law, and politics all at once. If this video helped you understand the Maratha Reservation story clearly, hit subscribe so you don't miss the updates when the final verdict comes out.